Thanks for downloading Ehnother Podcast from Ehnotherpodcast.com. Today's show can be found in many ways. iTunes, the Ehnotherpodcast.com webpage, and now can be found on Stitcher.com. You can now stream the latest show anywhere with the Stitcher app, on your computer, even on your boss's computer. Ehnother Podcast is now at your fingertips every day of the week and at your convenience. Enjoy today's episode of Warlock Wednesdays. Ehnotherpodcast.com. Not a sponsor.
Hi, I'm Rob Succhetto, and you're listening to Ehnotherpodcast.com.
Greetings, everyone. Once again, I am coming to you from Ireland. This is episode 52. That's right, I've been going at it for a year now. 1 year doing this podcast every week. I did what I intended to do, and that's not miss a week for at least 1 year. This may change in the coming year, but I did it. I got to 1 year's worth of episodes, and I did it in 52 weeks. So I'm personally happy with that. I'm glad I did it, and we're going to continue more as the end of this year comes to an end. We'll have a few more episodes yet, but this one is episode 52 of Warlock Wednesdays, and I am your host, Razor. This is the Warlock Hour, and we're going to start this one, way we do every week, with your comic book releases. So from DC Comics this week, we have a slew of number 26s with a few scattered different ones mixed in. First up, we have Action Comics number 26, Batman Superman number 6, Detective Comics number 26, Ferris number 21, and Green Arrow number 26. So get your Batman and Superman fix this week, folks, because it looks like that's the most you're going to see out of DC Comics this week, with, of course, Green Arrow thrown in there. Marvel Comics this week has Amazing X-Men number 2, and as I said about Amazing X-Men number 1, I found it amazing. And I'm looking forward to reading issue 2 to see what happens with the return of Nightcrawler, and one of my favorite characters from way back when I was a kid growing up in the 80s, the character known as Starfire. She has returned as well, and I know she's been in some other comics that I didn't read when I was not on a comic craze, but she's back. Nightcrawler's back. This has been a nice little new addition to the X-Men family that I'm enjoying. Also from Marvel this week, Deadpool number 20, the new series Inhumanity number 1 begins. Painkiller Jane, The Price of Freedom, number 2 of the 4-part miniseries, and Superior Spider-Man number 23. From the independent comic companies this week, from Dynamite Entertainment, Ash and the Army of Darkness, number 2, Black Bat, number 7, and Kevin Smith's The Bionic Man, number 26. Once again, that is Kevin Smith's script, The Bionic Man, that he wrote that was supposed to be a movie, turned into a comic book. Also from Dynamite Entertainment, Legends of Red Sonja, number 2 of the 5-part miniseries. From IDW Publishing this week, Doctor Who number 16 and Judge Dredd number 14. And finally, for your comic book releases for this week, Image Comics, Spawn number 238. Those are your comic book releases for this week, and I hope you have some happy readings, and let's move on with some sadness.
And now, another edition of Tinseltown Stiffs. They will be missed.
That's right, this week we have a death to announce, and sadly, it is a death that affects a movie that I'm very interested in seeing. The actor known as Paul Walker III, more commonly known recently as Paul Walker, passed away in a car crash this past weekend. He was not the driver. He was with a friend. They were returning from a charity event. There was speed involved, which some people may say is ironic, but he was taken from us too soon. He was only 40 years of age. It was a Porsche GT in Santa Clarita, California, where Paul Walker and his friend were basically killed in a car accident where they hit a tree going at in excessive speeds. He's been an actor since doing TV shows in the mid-'80s. One of his first breakout performances was in the movies The Skulls, and of course then moving on to the Fast and the Furious franchise, where they were in the process of making Fast and the Furious 7. This film has obviously been put on hold. They were set to return from Thanksgiving break this Sunday. However, that is not happening. They're going to wait and see what script adjustments are to be made. Paul Walker had filmed most of his scenes, but there was still more filming to be done, which means there may be script writing to be done. His official Facebook page released a statement, and I will read it to you. It is with a truly heavy heart that we must confirm that Paul Walker passed away today being Sunday, in a tragic car accident while attending a charity event for his organization, Reach Out Worldwide. He was a passenger in a friend's car in which both lost their lives. We appreciate your patience as we too are stunned and saddened beyond belief by this news. Thank you for keeping his friends and family in your prayers during this very difficult time. We will do our best to keep you apprised on where to send condolences. And following that, Universal Pictures sent out their official statement. All of us at Universal are heartbroken. Paul was truly one of the most beloved and respected members of our studio family for 14 years. And this loss is devastating to us, to everyone involved with the Fast and the Furious films, and to countless fans. We send our deepest and most sincerest condolences to Paul's family. Paul Walker, as I said, was only 40 years old. He has done many things other than the Fast and the Furious franchise, but that's probably what he will be known for the most. So the only question now is how Universal Studios proceeds to do Fast and the Furious 7, which they said they will not cancel. They will just they're putting it on hiatus for the time being, and more decisions will be made in the coming days. But right now, it's on hiatus, and they want to figure out the best way to still do the still do the movie with respect to his passing. Just to read out some of the tweets from some of his co-stars for Final Fantasy. Mixed up there. Fast and the Furious. This one's from Dwayne Johnson. All my strength, love, and faith to the Walker family during this heartbreaking time. We find our strength in his light. Love you, brother. From Ludacris, your humble spirit was felt from the start. Wherever you blessed your presence, you always left a mark. From Tyrese Gibson, my heart is hurting so bad, no one can make me believe this is real. Father God, I pray that you send hope and faith to his family. From Michelle Rodriguez, I'm going to carry this torch for you, brother, with a forced smile on my face. I'm going to open my heart just because you're telling me to. From James Wan, the director, I am so beyond heartbroken right now, I can't process anything. From Tony Jaa, who was just added for this recent movie, I am truly saddened over this sudden and unexpected passing of my friend and colleague, Paul Walker. I would like to extend my warmest condolences to his family. From Gal Gadot, who is also added for this one, lost a dear friend today, so sudden and tragic. Paul Walker was a great man with a big heart and passion. Rest in peace, my friend. Luke Evans, I am in total shock at the news of Paul's death. My heart, strength, and love go out to his family. So those are just some of the tweets from the people who worked closely with him recently, and I would also like to offer up my condolences to his family. Again, losing an actor so young is always tough to bear. So that is the sad news. Let's get into some a little bit more brighter news, and let's take a look at some gaming news, which is not something we always get here, but when we do, I like to report it. So, for those of you who play World of Warcraft, you've probably heard the name Ghostcrawler. Ghostcrawler has been the lead systems designer for World of Warcraft for, I believe, 5 years now. Unfortunately, this will come to an end. Greg Street, who is the actual man known as Ghostcrawler, has decided to leave Blizzard Entertainment. He posted on his Facebook this past week, "I've been at Blizzard Entertainment for almost 6 years." So there you go. I was close. I said just over 5. It has been epic, and I have made many friends around the world, and I've learned so much. But I have a great opportunity for something new and exciting, and sadly it is time to move on. The game community will likely find out today, so I wanted you all to hear it from me first. To all of you in my Blizzard family, inside the company and out, thank you for everything. We'll keep in touch. You have made me love my life. Now, the official announcement came out a little later, and this is the official announcement from Ghostcrawler and Blizzard Entertainment. You know that part at the end of a raid night when the final boss is dead and you're done handing out loot and everyone kind of goes their separate ways? Yes, this is one of those times. We just came off a great BlizzCon. We had so many different games to talk about, and we were thrilled at the reception of Warlords of Draenor. It was great to meet and reconnect with so many of you. I love BlizzCon dearly, which makes it so hard to tell you that this will be my last one, or at least my last one up on stage. An opportunity has come my way, and I have made the very tough decision to move on from Blizzard. I wanted to thank all of you for being a part of this grand quest. I have said 100 times that having passionate gamers, including the angry ones, is a far better place to be than having a community that doesn't care. You all care. Like us, you want the game to be the best that it can be. So I ask you to keep on providing your feedback. I promise, and I rarely promise, that the developers care very much about what you have to say. I'll be out there, and I can't imagine it will be that hard to find me. Hugs, Ghostcrawler. P.S. No, you can't have a pony, or a moose, or a mantis shrimp, or a tardigrade, or a crab. Keep trying, though. P.P.S. I play a holy priest. So that is the official message from Blizzard and Ghostcrawler himself about leaving the company for, obviously, future endeavors. I'm guessing since he was lead systems designer at Blizzard for so long with World of Warcraft, he's either been offered a COO position or something similar at another company, because he never says where he's going. He will either be in charge of a game specifically or be taking a chief executive officer or chief operating officer position, I'm sure. I don't think we've seen the last of Greg Street. So let's move on to some entertainment news, and we have some box office numbers to throw your way. Now, this past weekend was a tough one to kind of divvy down, so I'm actually going to do 2 sets of box office numbers, simply because the Americans celebrated their Thanksgiving, and they have a 5-day weekend in the U.S. I'm going to do the 3-day first, which is the normal one for the rest of us, but in the U.S. we'll do the 5 one second, so just to give you the indication of how those 2 extra days helped these movies, or possibly hindered them. Number 1, once again, Hunger Games' series continues to go strong. Catching Fire brought in another $74.1 million, bringing its 2-week total. That's right, when you hear this number, it's only 2 weeks. $296 million so far in just North America. You take a look at the world grosses for that movie so far, and it has already reached $500 million with $572.7 million so far for Catching Fire, far surpassing almost already the initial movie. Number 2 for the 3-day weekend is the movie that had a 1-screen release last week. That's right, Frozen has jumped from 1 screen to 3,742 screens, and it is in second place with $67.3 million. Pretty impressive considering it was up against the Hunger Games' second week. The third place movie is Thor: The Dark World, bringing in another $11 million. The Best Man Holiday comes in at number 4 with $8.1 million. Another new movie, Homefront, starring Jason Statham, brought in $6.9 million. Delivery Man comes in at 6th and delivers $6.8 million. The Book Thief jumps from 16th to 7th place as it increased its screen total to 1,234 screens, which is quite a bit more than it had last week, and brought in $4.8 million. Philomena, another limited release movie from last week, was in 27th place. Now with $3.6 million is in 8th place. It increased its screen total by 831 from 4 screens to 835. And number 9 is a new movie, one that my local theater never got. Black Nativity, bringing in $3.6 million, and rounding out the top 10, dropping from 6th place to 10th, the geriatric hangover movie, Las Vegas, $2.6 million for that one, and its $58 million total so far has far surpassed its $28 million budget. So that movie can definitely be considered a huge success. That is your top 10 for a 3-day weekend. Let's take a look at the American Thanksgiving 5-day weekend. So when you factor in those 2 extra days, Hunger Games: Catching Fire still claims the number 1 spot with $109.9 million, pretty darn close to 110. Frozen still number 2 with $93.5 million. Thor holds on to the number 3 spot with $15.4 million. Best Man Holiday in number 4 at $10.7 million. Homefront also staying at number 5, $9.7 million. Delivery Man at 6, $9.5 million. Book Thief at 7, $6.4 million. Black Nativity at 8 with $4.7 million. And that's the only switch there is, because Philomena is at 9th place with $4.4 million, and 10th is also Las Vegas at 3.7. So the only changes for the 2 extra days were the 8th and 9th spots, where Black Nativity and Philomena flip-flopped their locations. Excuse me. That is your box office numbers for this past weekend. Let's look ahead to see what's coming out this week, and there's not much. The only movie getting a wide release this coming weekend for December the 6th is the movie Out of the Furnace. Now, I do suggest you might want to see this movie. It is a thriller from Revolution Studios, and it stars a pretty decent cast when you factor in it has Christian Bale, Woody Harrelson, Casey Affleck, Forrest Whitaker, Willem Dafoe, Zoe Saldana, and Sam Shepard all starring in this movie. So just that alone. Now, sometimes you get cast together and the movies kind of suck, but I don't know. These are some serious good actors, so I definitely would encourage you to check that out. Let's move on to some entertainment news. Legendary and Universal Studios has decided that since Star Wars Episode 7 has now claimed a December 18th, 2015 release date, that Warcraft will no longer come out December 18th, 2015. To compete with Star Wars would be ridiculous and just stupid. Instead, the Warcraft movie has now been moved to March 11th, 2016. Sorry, World of Warcraft fans, you're going to have to wait a few more years now to see your Warcraft movie. I do believe it's the best, they made the best decision they could. December 2015, I mean, you got Star Wars Episode 7, plus you've got the final Hobbit movie coming out in December. You just didn't have a chance at that point. If you only had to deal with the Hobbit coming out the week before, you might have done successful. I think moving it to March is a wise move. As a World of Warcraft fan, it kind of sucks because now we have to wait longer. Also, they have set a release date for April 16th, 2016 for The Mummy, which will be the reboot of that franchise. They've also made an announcement for an untitled movie from Michael Mann. It is a untitled cybercrime thriller. The former title was going to be Cyber, however, that has been scrapped, and they are going to name it something else. That has been announced for January 16th, 2015. And lastly, Universal has announced that the Rob Cohen comedy The Boy Next Door will move to January 23rd, 2015, where it too will is currently arriving on an empty weekend and will have no competition. Right now, that could change since that is still a year and change away. Moving on, it was announced when Edgar Wright would be directing Ant-Man that it would be filmed at Pinewood Studios in London. However, thanks to movies... now, just to give you an indication, Captain America, The First Avenger, Thor, The Dark World, and the recently wrapped Guardians of the Galaxy were all filmed at Pinewood Studios, London. However, due to the fact that Star Wars Episode 7 and the James Bond 24, I think it's 24 that we're up to, will be filming at Pinewood Studios UK, Ant-Man has had to find a new location. They are going to be filmed at Pinewood Studios in Fayetteville, Georgia. That's right. Pinewood Studios is opening a location called Pinewood Atlanta, and it will be a full-service film and entertainment studio complex comprised of 5 sound stages on 288 acres in Fayetteville, Georgia, just south of Atlanta. Construction is in progress and will open in 2014 in time for Ant-Man to start its production. Now, Georgia has been a hotspot recently for film and television, and it's no wonder that Pinewood Studios, one of the biggest studios in London, would open up a location in Georgia. This is some of the recent things filmed in Georgia of late. The movie 42, Catching Fire, Flight, Trouble with the Curve, Lawless, Parental Guidance, Medea's Witness Protection, the 2012 remake of Footloose, Joyful Noise, Wanderlust, What to Expect When You're Inspecting, American Reunion, The Three Stooges, The Odd Life of Timothy Green, Fast Five, and X-Men First Class. Not to mention the following television shows were also filmed there: The Walking Dead, Single Ladies, Auction Kings, Necessary Roughness, Vampire Diaries, and Drop Dead Diva. So, with that being said, Ant-Man is in good hands in Georgia. Just to give you an indication of what Ant-Man is about, for those of you who might not know, Ant-Man is about a biochemist named Dr. Henry Pym, or Hank Pym, and he's using his latest discovery, a group of subatomic particles, to create a size-altering formula. And things ensue and go awry, and, well, I'm not going to give too much more away, but basically he can shrink/grow. Possibly we'll see how far the powers go, but he can also communicate and control insects. As I said, this will be a film directed by Edgar Wright, who also helped write the movie with Joe Cornish. Ant-Man is set to hit theaters July 31st, 2015, which will also be the first movie of the Marvel Phase 3, as it will come after Avengers 2. Also in 2015, as if the party wasn't going to be big enough when you consider that Avengers Age of Ultron is coming out, Man of Steel 2, the 24th Bond film, yay, I got it right which one it was coming out, the Fantastic Four movie, Jurassic World, Terminator 5, Ant-Man, the final Hunger Games movie, which will be Mockingjay Part 2, Star Wars Episode 7, Mission Impossible 5, and even more. Well, we have another person joining the party, and that person is Jason Voorhees. That's right, the folks at Paramount who have reacquired the rights to the Friday the 13th franchise. They are going to reboot the movie once again. Now, there was a reboot just 2009, so just a mere 4 years ago. That film grossed over $91 million on a $19 million budget. Now, many assumed that would see a new set of Jason films, but for whatever reason, Warner Brothers didn't want to continue it, sold the rights back to Paramount, so this one will be another reboot. Now, they have said that this is going to take a fresh take on it, and I don't like the first initial considerations, but since it's a consideration and only rumor at this point, I'm going to treat it as such. But they said they may do it in the form of a quote-unquote found footage movie, much like the Paranormal Activity series, which I absolutely loathe. So I'm hoping they decide not to do that and just go out and do a straight-up slasher movie. You know what? We don't get enough slasher movies these days. We get too much crap like the Paranormal Activity series And I would love to see just a straight-up slasher movie if you're going to do a Jason movie. Friday the 13th, now that it's back at Paramount, can officially be called Friday the 13th again. And I, for one, would be excited to see it if it's going to be a slasher film and not one of those stupid found footage movies. Moving on to another release dates being set. Universal has set the release date for the new Bourne movie, the 5th in the franchise. This one will be, again, starring Jeremy Renner, and will be directed by Justin Lin, who did a couple of the movies in the Fast and the Furious franchise. Excuse me. Jeremy Renner will be returning as Aaron Cross, and this movie will be coming August 14th, 2015. Adding another movie to that impressive slate. This movie will be opening the same weekend as the Smurfs 3. So that is, again, very busy year for movies. Also, Universal has announced that the Luc Besson-helmed Lucy will be set for release on August 8th, 2014. This movie is an action thriller starring Scarlett Johansson, where she'll be playing a woman accidentally caught in a dark deal, and she will turn the table on her captors, transform into a merciless warrior evolved beyond human logic. Kind of sounds like a Bourne series for a woman. The movie also stars Morgan Freeman, and is being, as I said, directed by Luc Besson, and he's had some very powerful movies done in the past, so definitely looking forward to that next summer. DC and Warner Brothers have decided that they are going to take a look at bringing some of their lesser-known properties, some of the DC comic properties, to the big screen, however, putting them on a minimal budget. David Goyer has said that Warner Brothers and David Goyer, for those of you who don't recognize the name, he is currently writing the Man of Steel 2. He worked on Man of Steel. He has also done the Blade franchise. He did some rewrites and some writing on the Nolan Batman trilogy. So he's worked with comic book movies for quite some time. He said Warner Brothers are looking at movie treatments for the likes of Suicide Squad, Booster Gold, Deathstroke, Team 7, and more. Suicide Squad is one specifically mentioned as only needing a $40 million budget, pre-marketing of course, and he said some of these movies could be made for as little as $20 million. This could be some of the big news that DC and Warner Brothers has said that they will announce for 2014. The plan currently is that DC and Warner Brothers kind of want to catch up, sort of, with Marvel by releasing 2 movies a year, one in the spring and another in the fall. These movies will hit over 2 years and expand on the DC film universe that began with Man of Steel. So, for those of you who keep saying that the Nolan Batman movies are part of the universe, they're not. Man of Steel is the first one of their film universe, according to them. So it doesn't matter what you think. It matters what Warner Brothers thinks. And unfortunately, Warner Brothers, one left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. But personally, I do not like this idea of lowballing some films. Marvel has shown you can take the lesser-known characters and make some big-budget films out of them and succeed. They did it with Thor. They did it with Iron Man. They did it with Captain America. What did they get? They made the Avengers. DC, I don't know what you're planning, but if you are going to lowball some of these films, you might just get lowball numbers. Personally, I would love to see the current New 52 version of Suicide Squad, because that would mean I would get to see Harley Quinn on the big screen. However, at a lower budget, and let's be honest, it's lower risk to Warner Brothers, something tells me it would not have the quality of any of the characters mentioned or teams mentioned that they deserve, and that could be a downfall as opposed to trying to get exposure and expand the universe. But that's just my point of view. Moving on to some television news, Sin City, the TV series, is apparently coming to us almost simultaneously after Sin City: A Dame to Kill For. August 22nd, 2014 is when Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller will bring us the long-awaited sequel to Sin City. Sin City: A Dame to Kill For will be coming out then, and Bob Weinstein, who was one of the, obviously, co-founders of the Weinstein Company with his brother Harvey, said that he is looking to developing original projects that would be in tune with his horror and action-oriented Dimension brand, along with several shows based on movies he has overseen for the company. He is currently preparing a pilot based on the Screen films for MTV. He's also developing a proposed 10-part series with Frank Darabont based on Dimension Films' version of Stephen King's The Mist. Mr. Weinstein has said he was also hoping to quickly follow the August release of the film Sin City: A Dame to Kill For, directed by Frank Miller and Robert Rodriguez, with a Sin City television series, also from Mr. Miller and Mr. Rodriguez. So the question is, will a Sin City TV series be the way to go? Is that something fans want? Is that something fans want to see? I think if done right and done on a network like possibly AMC or HBO, where you can be a little bit more open with your violence and your way of doing things, it's always possible. If you do it on a normal network like ABC, Fox, NBC, or CBS, even the CW, I don't see this flying at all, simply because you cannot put in what you see in a Sin City movie into the TV show and expect the fans to take it. So it all depends on what comes of it and whether or not this is what Bob Weinstein actually means. I think it would be brilliant if it can be done well. Otherwise, I say maybe you should just stick to the movies. That is it for the entertainment news for this week. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with some sports. Attention, Sudbury football fans! Do you want to win a trip to Super Bowl 48? I know I do. Let me tell you how you can do that. Joe McDonald Youth Football League is holding a raffle. They are selling tickets to win a trip for the Super Bowl in New York City. That's Super Bowl 48. You can win 2 tickets for you and a friend. You would also get $500 spending money, transportation to and from, that's your flight there and back, plus a hotel stay for 3 nights at a 4-star hotel. How do you get these wonderful tickets? Well, you buy a raffle ticket. And how do you buy a raffle ticket? Well, you can go to one of many locations. For those locations, you can go to joemcdonaldfootball.com, or you can just listen to my next little bit. They are Beef and Bird. You can get them there. Cubit Portable Storage. Dr. M. Staffen New Sudbury Chiropractic. Eddie's Restaurant and Sports Bar. Kicks Hot New Country 91.7 FM. Lockerbie Confectionery. The Lounge 390 at the Quality Inn. New North Fuels. New Sudbury Shopping Mall at the Lottery Center, Nickel Belt Camping, Pro-Am Sportswear, and at the Rainbow Mall at the Lottery Center. And if this is not good enough for you, well, you can place your order by phone. That phone number to call for those raffle tickets, 705-524-2970. How much do these tickets cost, you ask? Well, the Joe McDonald Youth Football League is entering its 20th season. So why not make the tickets $20? And they did! Tickets, $20. You can get them now. Win your trip. Go to Super Bowl 48. Who knows who's playing? Looks like Denver Broncos maybe, but hey, you get to be there if they are. So win your trip to New York City and Super Bowl 48 by visiting joemcdonaldfootball.com and picking up your raffle tickets, because it goes for a great cause, and hey, you might win a trip to New York City. Hello out there, all you NFL fans. Do you like to pick the winners of each game every week? Well, guess what? So do I. Right now, you're listening to the Warlock Hour here on Warlock Wednesdays. We're about to go into sports, but before we do, I just want to tell you that every Thursday you can listen to Warlock Hour Presents NFL Pick'em. That's right, me and a few friends sit down and we pick the winners of each game every week. We have fun doing it, and you can listen along and maybe even pick against us. Listen to a few amateur analysts as we give our opinions on each game every week, and we pick the winners and compete against each other, just a friendly competition, and we have fun doing it. So if you'd like to tune in and listen to that, that's tomorrow, Thursdays, on Ehnotherpodcast.com. EHNOTHER podcast.com, a Canadian podcast network. And we are back with some sports news, and just want to say that this is under the influence of 2 pints of Guinness, as I imbibed of the traditional Irish beer here in Ireland. So we'll see how it goes from here. We're going to start off with something I didn't get to do last week, and that's because due to the traveling and everything, I missed the WWE Survivor Series, and without ruining it for myself, I did not want to see who the winners was before I actually got to see the event. I now have seen the event, so I will give you the winners and how I did on my predictions. So this is going back a couple of weeks. For those of you who probably already know the answers, I'm just kind of comparing my predictions. First up, we had an impromptu match, so I had no prediction, and Mark Henry defeated Ryback in that impromptu match, where Ryback made a challenge to anybody in the back, and, you know, I've noticed in the past that this has always come back to bite the person that asks for that challenge, and Mark Henry defeated Ryback in this impromptu match. So let's get to the matches that were actually on the card that I had predictions for. In the Survivor Series kickoff match, we had Kofi Kingston taking on The Miz. I predicted The Miz would win, and guess what, folks? I was correct. The Miz won that match in a very stunning way, and definitely was awesome. Next up on the card, we had the Total Divas taking on the Traditional Divas, if you will. Natalya, the Bellas, the Funkadactyls, JoJo, and Eve Marie were taking on Divas champion AJ Lee, Tamina Snuka, Caitlyn, Rosa, Summer Rae, Oksana, and Alicia Fox. I predicted the Bellas, aka the Total Divas, would win, and I was correct, as it was in fact Nikki Bella, I believe, or Brie, one of the two, who actually got the final pin for the Total Divas team, and there was 2 members of that team left when they were all said and done, as this was fought under traditional Survivor Series rules, where you had to eliminate the entire team to win the match. In the other traditional Survivor Series matchup, we had WWE Tag Team Champions Cody Rhodes and Goldust teaming up with the Jimmy and Jay, the Usos, and also Rey Mysterio, as they took on The Shield. That's Roman Reigns, and I can't even think of the other 2 guys right now. And the other tag team in that one was the Real Americans, Jack Swagger and Antonio Cesaro. Why can't I think of the other 2 Shield members' names? Roman Reigns is the only one I can think of. And you know what? All that matters is that Roman Reigns won. The match came down to a 4-on-2 advantage for the team of Goldust, Rhodes, the Usos, and Rey Mysterio. However, that 4-on-2 advantage would turn to a 3-on-1 advantage once one more member was eliminated. Now, I had originally predicted that the team featuring the tag team champions Rhodes and Goldust would win this match. However, I was wrong, as Roman Reigns delivered 4 spears throughout the match that eliminated 4 competitors of the 5, for Roman Reigns to be the lone survivor in the traditional Survivor Series matchup, and certifying his dominance in this kind of match. Now, for the Shield, this was their 1-year anniversary, as they debuted at Survivor Series last year. CM Punk and Daniel Bryan had a tag team match as they took on Eric Rowan and Luke Harper of the Wyatt family, and I've got a question that I would like to ask right now. If they are called the Wyatt family, why is one called Eric Rowan and the other one Luke Harper? Where's Wyatt? Other than their quote-unquote leader, Bray Wyatt, there is only one Wyatt. Why are they called the Wyatt family? Horrible naming, horrible team, and guess what? I predicted Punk and Bryan would win. Punk and Bryan won. So let's move on to some some championship matches. We had the World Heavyweight Champion John Cena taking on the crazy Mexican Alberto Del Rio. I predicted Cena would win, continuing the year of Cena, even though he had an injury this year, and Cena, in fact, retained the title. Moving to the WWE Championship match, Randy Orton took on The Big Show, with, of course, the stipulation that no one would physically interfere in the match. And that happened. No one physically interfered in the match. However, just as Big Show had knocked out Randy Orton with the WMD, the Big Show Punch, well, Triple H's music hit. Triple H and Stephanie came out with their big bodyguard Kane standing on the top of the ramp, distracting Big Show, allowing Randy Orton, who I predicted would retain the belt, to hit an RKO and then followed that with the punt that secured the victory for Randy Orton. So, prediction-wise, I did fairly good with only one false prediction, and that was that I thought the team of Cody Rhodes and Goldust, or that entire team with the Usos and Rey Mysterio, someone would come out of that as the winner, but it was Roman Reigns who won that. So other than that one match, I did fairly well for the Survivor Series matchup. So let's move on to the rest of the sports, and we're going to start with hockey. And in hockey, we're going to start with, where we always do, the Stars of the Week. Your first star of the week was Evgeny Malkin of the Pittsburgh Penguins, who led all skaters with 9 points. He had 3 goals and 6 assists this week, helping the Penguins to a great total of 37 points so far this season. They were victorious over the Toronto Maple Leafs with a 6-5 overtime shootout win. They had a 3-0 win over the Tampa Bay Lightning, as well as a 5-1 win over the Florida Panthers. The second star of the week is a defenseman, Nicholas Kronwall of the Detroit Red Wings, who had 3 victories in 3 starts this week. He scored his 3rd goal of the season and had multi-point games, leading all defensemen, and they won 6-1 over the Boston Bruins, where Kronwall had a power play assist, a goal and assist, and then he had a pair of assists in a 5-0 victory over the New York Islanders, and another pair of assists in a 4-2 triumph over the Ottawa Senators. The third star of the week was also a defenseman for the Chicago Blackhawks. He was tied for the league lead with 6 assists this week, and those were in a 5-1 victory over the Edmonton Oilers, a 3-2 triumph over the Calgary Flames, and a 2-1 shootout win over the Dallas Stars. He also helped them to a victory with a 2-assist game in Phoenix, where they won 5-2. So those are your 3 stars for the week. And since we are now into December, we have 3 stars for the month of November. Your 3 stars for the month of November are, first star, Patrick Kane of the Chicago Blackhawks. Kane ranked second among skaters with 9 goals, including 4 game winners and 19 points. So 9 goals, 10 assists in the span of November. Your second star of the month was your first star of the week, Evgeny Malkin from the Pittsburgh Penguins. He led all players with 21 assists and 25 points. So 4 goals, 21 assists for Evgeny Malkin. That's a lot of assists in 1 month. That's almost an assist a game, or probably more so. I don't know how many games they played in November, but that's definitely an impressive total. Your third star of the month, Josh Harding, goaltender for the Minnesota Wild. He posted an 8-2-2 record in the month of November, recording that with a 1.88 goals against average and a .926 save percentage, and 1 shutout in the month of November, helping the Wild to a 9-4-2 record for this past month, meaning he only didn't play in 3 games, and when he played, it was a good chance they were going to win. Moving on to the standings, in the Eastern Conference, we have some changes. In the Atlantic Division, Boston now leads the way with 38 points, followed by the Montreal Canadiens with 35, and the Detroit Red Wings also with 35. In the Metropolitan Division, it's the Pittsburgh Penguins still leading the way with 37 points. Washington is second with 30, and the New York Rangers are sitting at 28. Your two wild cards currently are the Tampa Bay Lightning with 33 points, and the Toronto Maple Leafs, who've hit a slump, and they're now down to 31 points. Toronto Maple Leafs have had a few overtime losses and some blown leads that have led to this dramatic drop in the standings. Don't worry, Leafs fans, I'm sure this will be turned around. Over in the Western Conference and in the Central Division, the Chicago Blackhawks lead not only the division, but the entire league with 44 points. St. Louis Blues are second in that division with 39 points, while the Colorado Avalanche have kind of mellowed out a little bit and now sit at 38 points. In the Pacific Division, San Jose Sharks, who are second in the league in points, I'm just going to double check that, yes they are, they lead the division with 41. Anaheim is with second place and have 40 points, while the Los Angeles Kings have 38 points, sitting in third in the division. Your two wildcards in the Western Conference currently are the Minnesota Wild with 37 points and the Phoenix Coyotes with 34 points. Let's look at some statistics now, and points leader is Crybaby Crosby, Sidney Crybaby Crosby, that is 36 points to lead the league, followed closely by his teammate Evgeny Malkin with 35 points. Now, to take that into consideration, he has 25 of those points in the month of November alone. Alexander Steen has 31 points, as does Ryan Getzlaf, and rounding out the top five, Patrick Kane with 30. Your goals leader is thankfully not Sidney Crybaby Crosby. That would be Alexander Ovechkin with 21 goals. Alexander Steen sits second at 20, then a little bit of a drop-off with Patrick Kane at 16, Corey Perry at 15, and Chris Kunitz rounds out the top five with 14 goals. Your assist leader is Evgeny Malkin of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and not surprising considering he had 25 of them in the month of November. He leads with 28. Your second place assist leader is Joe Thornton with 25, then Sidney Crybaby Crosby has 23, as does Duncan Keith, that followed by Henrik Sedin to round out the top five with 21. Your plus-minus leaders are led right now by Justin Braun of the San Jose Sharks. He has a plus 19. Next to him is Dustin Penner with 17. Also, Jan Heda has 17. Marian Hossa has 16. And Brent Seabrook is a plus 15. Your goaltending statistics are now as follows. Josh Harding, who was your third star of the month of November, is 1.45 goals against average, has him leading that category. Ben Scrivens has a 1.56, he sits second. Corey Schneider has a 1.72. Chris Talbot has a 1.79, while Tuukka Rask rounds out the top five with a 1.90. Your save percentage leaders, we have a tie at the top. Ben Scrivens with a 943. Sorry, that's not a tie. That's definitely not a tie. Don't know where I was looking there. Ben Scrivens is leading the way with 943 save percentage. Josh Harding is second with 939. Carey Price has a 937. Tuukka Rask at 935, with Steve Mason rounding out the top five with 934 save percentage. Your wins leader, Corey Crawford of the Chicago Blackhawks, leads the way with 17 wins. Antti Niemi has 15, and then Josh Harding, Tuukka Rask, and Marc-Andre Fleury all have 14. Looking at your shutout leaders, currently we have three with 3 shutouts. That's Josh Harding, Marc-Andre Fleury, and Ben Scrivens. Then we have a slew of people at 2 shutouts, and let's see how fast I can rattle them off. Antti Niemi, Tuukka Rask, Ben Bishop, Yaroslav Halak, Roberto Luongo, Jonas Hiller, Henrik Lundqvist, Martin Brodeur, Jean-Sebastien Giguère, Cam Talbot, Jimmy Howard, Marek Maznik. Oh boy, Joey's going to be mad that I couldn't pronounce that. And then Corey Schneider rounds out your top 16 in this case, with shutouts being at 2. I'm hoping some more shutouts happen so we can get a better number 5 in there. But that is it for your NHL stats, let's move on to some NFL stats. And I'm just going to make sure I plug in my laptop before I lose all power. Alright, so let's moving into the NFL, and good news for Denver Broncos fans, your head coach is returning. That's right, John Fox, after successful heart surgery, where he had aortic heart valve replacement on November 4th, is returning to the sidelines. He actually returned on Monday to active duty and will now remain the coach for the remainder of the season. Of course, with defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio serving as the interim coach, the Broncos did not too bad, going 3-1, with the one loss coming on a horrible November day when they had to play the New England Patriots in a game I still think the Broncos could have won and probably should have won. Although, next time they meet, it will be in the playoffs, if they do meet. Perhaps somebody will eliminate New England for me. I can dream, can't I? I can dream. Well, if they do meet, it will be in Denver, because Denver is well on their way to securing the home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. So welcome back, Coach John Fox. Now we have a huge amount of injury reports and possibly some injury updates. Let's start first with Minnesota. The Minnesota Vikings quarterback Christian Ponder left the Sunday game when they won in overtime against the Chicago Bears with a concussion. Matt Castle has replaced him in that game and actually led the Vikings to that overtime victory. It's hard to imagine right now the Vikings going back to Christian Ponder as a starter, even if he is cleared from the concussion. Browns quarterback Brandon Weeden stayed in throughout Cleveland's 32-28 loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars, but he reported concussion symptoms after the game, and with Jason Campbell also coming off a concussion, the Browns could be forced to start a technically fourth-string quarterback, Alex Tanney, next week if Weeden and Campbell are ruled out due to concussion symptoms. Couldn't be any worse in Brownsville, that's for sure. St. Louis Rams left tackle Jake Long left Sunday's loss to the 49ers with a head injury, and he was quickly ruled out. Rams center Scott Wells was knocked out with an ankle injury earlier in that game. Denver Broncos return man Trindon Holiday left with a shoulder injury and did not return. San Francisco 49ers left tackle Joe Staley left with a knee injury early in the team's game against St. Louis and was immediately ruled out for the rest of the contest. Staley reportedly has an MCL sprain and will have to have an MRI to determine the severity of the injury. Titans tight end Delaney Walker suffered a concussion in his team's crushing loss to the Colts. And Tampa Bay Buccaneers cornerback Darrelle Revis left Sunday's loss to the Panthers with a chest injury and did not return. Washington Redskins safety Reed Doughty left the team's matchup with the Giants on Sunday night with a concussion. And Redskins coach Mike Shanahan told reporters after the game that linebacker London Fletcher sprained his ankle. We're not done, folks. Some of the updates on those injuries, because some of those came on Sunday's matchups, and we are now I'm recording on Tuesday, so we have some updates. Cleveland's quarterback room officially has delved into madness. Brandon Weeden was sent home Monday with a concussion that he suffered, as I reported earlier. Jason Campbell has been cleared for the team activities, but not for practice. If Campbell improves in time for Wednesday's practice, he will be the starter for Week 14. However, it is still possible that Alex Tanney may suit up. And for those of you who are in the know, Alex Tanney is of YouTube fame, and you may want to go check that out on YouTube, not a sponsor, and find out some of his trick shots and see if we will possibly be seeing that against the New England Patriots this week. Ian Rappaport of NFL.com, not a sponsor, reported that Seattle Seahawks receiver Percy Harvin will probably miss the remainder of the season and may return just in time for the playoffs. Packers coach Mike McCarthy was scheduled to speak with reporters on Monday. However, that was postponed till Tuesday, and still no word on Aaron Rodgers, which is what the conference was supposed to be about. There is a chance he plays this week against the Falcons, but because it is against the Falcons, they may hold him out again another week. Also, the wait continues for Justin Houston and his dislocated elbow, as Chiefs coach Andy Reid didn't express optimism on Monday, and when he was asked whether the pass rusher would be back for Sunday's game against the Redskins. Coach John Fox, as I said, has returned to the sidelines, and that's positive news there. Also positive news for the Bengals. They welcome back right guard Kevin Zeitler, who was out with a foot injury, and he hasn't played since Week 10. Jay Cutler still is recovering from a high ankle sprain. Coach Mark Trestman said Monday that the Chicago Bears quarterback is week to week, and the team will reevaluate the passer's injury on Thursday. Cutler on Monday told a radio station that he will likely have to practice this week in order to have a shot at playing on Monday night against the Cowboys. That could still not look good, as there has been decent quarterbacking in Chicago with McCown at the helm. They are not going to rush Jay Cutler back, basically, is what's happening there. So that's your massive injury report. Let's move on to the NFL standings, and here they are. In the AFC East, New England still leads the pack at 9-3. Miami Dolphins sit at 6-6, with the Jets at 5-7, and the Bills, who broke my heart on Sunday, sit at 4-8. They also had help from the referees as to why they lost. AFC North, Cincinnati Bengals lead that one with 8-4, while the Baltimore Ravens are 6-6. The Pittsburgh Steelers, ever playoff hopes slipping away, at 5-7. Cleveland sitting at 4-8. In the AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts, who have had some ups and downs this year, sit at 8-4 and are on top of that division. And when you consider their next closest opponent is the Tennessee Titans at 5-7, the Jacksonville Jaguars at 3-9, and the lowly Houston Texans at 2-10, it could be Indianapolis division to lose. In the AFC West, Denver once again proved its dominance over the Kansas City Chiefs as they won to go to 10-2. With the Kansas City Chiefs' loss, they dropped to 9-3. San Diego Chargers are 5-7, while the Oakland Raiders sit at 4-8. Over in the much maligned NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys sit at 7-5, as do the Philadelphia Eagles. The Giants are sitting at 5-7, while the Washington Redskins sit at 3-9. And other than the Redskins, any one of those teams could still win that division. In the NFC North, Detroit Lions lead that one with a slim 7-5 record, and the Chicago Bears are right behind them at 6-6, while the Green Bay Packers sit at 5-6-1, and the Minnesota Vikings sit at 3-8-1. New Orleans Saints are leading their division barely at 9-3, as they were crushed on Monday night by the Seattle Seahawks in, I believe it was 31-7. I'm just gonna double check that score. I'm pretty sure that score is right. 34-7, even worse. And right behind them is their opponent this week, the Carolina Panthers. So Carolina and New Orleans will battle it out for the NFC division lead this coming Sunday night. Tampa Bay Buccaneers sit at 3-9, as do the Atlanta Falcons, who won a close game over the Bills, again helped by the referees and some untimely fumbles for the Buffalo Bills. In the West, we have a clinched wild card, which just is basically kind of leading into a clinched division and probably clinched conference, because the Seattle Seahawks sit at 11-1 after 13 weeks, going into week 14. They are dominating the NFC right now and will likely lock up their division very shortly, as the San Francisco 49ers sit at 8-4, Arizona Cardinals sit at 7-5, and the St. Louis Rams sit at 5-7. So your Seattle Seahawks are the first team in the NFL to clinch a playoff spot as it stands right now. Let's look at some statistics, and your passing leader, still once again Peyton Manning, 4,125 passing yards. Matt Stafford sits second at 3,825 passing yards. Drew Brees is third with 3,794 passing yards. Phillip Rivers is fourth with 3,633, and Matt Ryan is rounding out the top 5 with 3,471 passing yards. Your touchdown passing leaders, again, Peyton Manning with 41 touchdown passes so far. Second on that list, and well behind, is 29 touchdowns by Drew Brees. Matt Stafford has 27, Tony Romo 24, and Phillip Rivers rounding out the top 5 with 23. Your rushing yards leaders currently are Adrian Peterson, who racked up an impressive 211 yards against the Bears this past week to bring his total to 1,208 rushing yards. Shady McCoy, who was the first man over 1,000, didn't fare so well this week, and he ended up with 1,088 after week 13. Jamal Charles is third with 1,011. Alfred Morris sits fourth at 996. He will be our fourth guy over that 1,000-yard mark, I'm sure. While Matt Forte will probably be that fifth guy, as he's sitting fifth right now with 971. An honorable mention goes to Marshawn Lynch, who's only 1 yard behind Matt Forte with 970 rushing yards. Your rushing touchdown leaders are Adrian Peterson leading the way with 10 rushing touchdowns, and then Marshawn Lynch, Noshawn Moreno, and Jamal Charles each have 9. Rounding out the top 5 is Frank Gore with 8. Moving into reception yards, your reception yard leader is Calvin Megatron Johnson with 1,299 receiving yards, followed by Josh Gordon with 1,249, Andre Johnson with 1,123, Alshon Jeffrey with 1,109, and rounding out the top 5, Antonio Brown with 1,103. Actually, he is tied with A.J. Green, also with 1,103. Your reception leaders for touchdowns, Calvin Megatron Johnson is tied with tight end Jimmy Graham, each with 12 recepted touchdowns. Your top 5 is rounded out by 3 men who are tied with 10 recepted touchdowns, 2 tight ends, Vernon Davis and Julius Thomas, and then also add in Denver wide receiver Demaryius Thomas for that. Moving over to the defensive side of things, your tackle solo leader is Carlos Dansby with 92 tackles. Next up, Navario Bowman with 90. Vonteze Burfict has 88. Paul Posluszny has 86. And D'Amico Ryans has 84. Your sack leader currently is Robert Mathis with 15.5 sacks. Robert Quinn sits second with 13. Mario Williams of my Buffalo Bills sits at third with 12. And Justin Houston has 11. Your top 5 is rounded out by Chandler Jones with 10.5 sacks. Your interception leaders are DeAndre Levy has 6 interceptions to lead the way. Second is tie between Antrell Roll with 5 and Alteron Werner also with 5. And then we have a slew of interceptors who have 4, and I'm going to try and rattle them off as I do. Aqib Talib, Dimitri Patterson. I almost got that one wrong. Richard Sherman, Sean Lee, Kiko Alonso, Earl Thomas, Joe Hayden, Tremaine Brock, Brent Grimes, Quentin Demps, Mike Mitchell, and Brandon Boykin all have 4 interceptions. And that is your statistics for the NFL. That is the end of sports for this week. I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, this is my 1-year anniversary. I've been doing this for 52 weeks, and I hope to be doing it for quite a few more. Well, will it be 52 in a row? I guess we'll have to find out. But I'm definitely happy that I did 52 weeks in a row before I have any missed ones. And I hope to continue that streak next week, as I will be jet-lagged and home from Ireland, back in Canada. Gonna miss being in Ireland. But as they say in Ireland, sláinte. That is it for this show. And I hope you come back next week. That is it. I am out. Thanks for listening to Ehnother Podcast from Ehnotherpodcast.com. Don't forget to go on iTunes and or download right from Ehnotherpodcast.com. That's EHNOTHER podcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at Ehnother Podcast. Be sure to check back for tomorrow's show only on Ehnother Podcast, your Canadian podcast network. Ehnotherpodcast.com. Not a sponsor.